Hey guys, welcome to Q&A video number 2. If you don't see your question answered here, it may be because I have already answered it in video 1, which I will leave linked below, or it's just that I got a high volume of questions and they will have to be saved for another video. So firstly, let's get into question number 1. Hang on, I don't even have a brew. What is going on? Let me make a brew. Oh, that kettle's taking forever. Right, so firstly, Tidbits and Treats asks, what was your wedding cake like? I have a picture of my wedding cake. It is rather embarrassing now. I think it's still got the round edges, bit of naff modelling going on the top, and I think this was pre-airbrush. I'm gonna have to dig the picture out and have a look, but I'm pretty sure there was no airbrushing on this cake. It was obviously based on The Lion King. We got married in a zoo next to the lions. It's Adam's favourite Disney film. Hakuna Matata was the motto for the wedding day, and I also have it tattooed on my foot. It was a bit obvious I wasn't gonna go for anything elegant, white and clean looking, so we have bugs and lions on the cake. And that's my kettle. Oh yay. Now that is a good cup of tea. It has to be the same colour as David Dickinson. Not any paler than that. Okay, so another question is, do you deliver all your cakes ready stacked? If so, do you use a central dowel? Yes, all my cakes go fully stacked unless it has a glass globe in the middle and then it goes in 2 halves. No, they don't usually have a central dowel. The only time I do centre dowel them is if I know one of them is incredibly tall, so it might be a double barrel tier and then an extra couple of tiers on top of that, which makes it a little bit dodgy. Or if one of the tiers has been carved and it's a bit of an odd shape. But if they're just regular size tiers, one on top of the other, I will just stack 4 tiers straight on top of them without a central dowel. Because central doweling is such a pain. I'm going to do a separate video on that, I think, because like Americans might sit there and go, no, you just knock a dowel in the top, but us in the UK know what our boards are like and there ain't no dowel going through one of those. So yes, I deliver them already stacked. The reason being as well, if you look at a lot of my cakes, there's maybe characters sat on ledges and it's something that you can't really build at the venue. If you look at, say, like this cake, if you imagined all those tiers separate and how much work would be involved stacking it and then adding all the characters, because I make the characters directly on the cake so that they're nice and stuck. So yeah, I find it impossible how people could actually stack it at the venue unless it's got like a couple of flowers on it and stuff, but the ones that I kind of make with all the figures on, I'd find that really hard to build at the venue. Did you ever go to be trained as a cake decorator, or are you self-taught? No, I was fully self-taught because I didn't start until I was 13, so I made my first cake at 13. Trial and error. My nan used to make cakes. Unfortunately, she couldn't show me anything because she died a couple of years prior to that. So it was all trial and error, and there was no like YouTube back then. There was nobody showing you how to make anything. You had to just kind of figure it out yourself. So it was lots and lots of trial and error. And then eventually, when I could afford to, I took classes, and then YouTube came along and everybody was sharing their videos. So I've pretty much learnt that way. I wish there was some sort of classes back when I started, because I feel like it took me years and years and years just to be able to cover a cake. I always had pleats in because nobody would show me, and there was no way to learn how to cover a cake without the pleats in, how to get them out. But if there was classes available and I took classes back then, I feel like I would have progressed a lot quicker than I have done. I've seen people jump from like a sloppy cake to something absolutely incredible in 2 years because they've had these tools at hand. And it's taken me like 7 years just to be able to cover a cake. Yeah, if you ever have a chance to do a class or anything like that, go and do it. You learn loads. So there's another question here from Amy. Do you have any advice for when friends, colleagues and family want cakes for free? Firstly, they should not be asking cakes for free. That is very rude. They should be supporting your little business. I often do cakes for free, but they are gifts from me. So instead of me buying them a present, I will gift them a cake. They haven't asked me for a free cake, and it's not very fair of anybody to ask for a free cake. So firstly, I would tell them no, do not work for free unless you feel that it is a gift. They should really be wanting to support you, and by supporting you, they need to pay you. Cookie Hound is a non-cake related question, and your favourite music at the moment. Now, I listen to anything. Not ashamed to say I listen to lots of 80s cheese. At the minute, we're actually into country music. I was brought up on a lot of country music, but we're talking like Glenn Campbell and Charlie Pride, like really, really old country music. And Adam has discovered the country music channel, so now we're listening to all sorts of country songs in the car. I feel like I should be riding a horse with a hat on instead of sitting in the passenger seat. So yeah, we're quite enjoying country music at the minute. Sydney asks, can you make Audrey 2 cake from the Little Shop of Horrors? I'm obsessed with your work. Thank you very much. Yes, that would be a very cool cake to make. It's just working out the logistics because of obviously the little skinny stalk neck and the giant head. But there's nothing to say that the little plant pot thing can't be, the little tin that it's in can't be cake. The Still Learning Baker asks, are you judging at Cake International Birmingham this year? Yes, I am. I am there Friday, Saturday and Sunday, I think. So Friday is judging, that takes all day. It's a very long, detailed job. On Saturday and Sunday, I think, are feedback days where you can come and get feedback of what we thought of your cake and why we give it the score that we did. When I'm judging, I don't see any of the show. You were literally there to do the judging job, and from the minute you arrive to the minute you leave, it's all judging and talking to competitors, so I literally don't get to see any of the rest of the show. So I apologise if you don't get to speak to me. I'll be wandering around somewhere with my clipboard. So another one is, how do you set up your photo studio, or what do you do when taking pics for your business? I get asked this question a lot. There will be a video coming when I get round to it. For most of my pictures, I use a light tent, which is like a pop-up big white box, and it has 2 flashes on either side. Those flashes are rigged to my camera flash, so when my camera flash goes off, it fires those at the same time. You have to mess around with the settings to make sure it does it at the same time, otherwise you get a black image. So the kit goes in the tent with a green piece of wallpaper. I used to use wrapping paper, different types of wallpaper for different backgrounds, but now I just use green, and then I Photoshop them in Photoshop, so I turn the green background into whatever coloured background I want. Now this doesn't work for every cake. You'll notice I do take a few pictures in my conservatory with my blinds behind it, especially if it's like a glass globe, because it's very hard to edit a photo when you've got your green wallpaper showing through that glass globe and you want to turn that a different colour. It can be quite difficult, so I just take those in my conservatory usually. And also sometimes we haven't got time to set all the cameras up and things, because it does take quite a while, so sometimes I'll put them in the conservatory as well. Sometimes they don't even fit in the tent because they're so big. I do have a couple of videos planned, one on how I do that, and 2 on maybe ways that you could change to create your own branding of photo. It's hard to explain, it needs its whole other video, but it is coming, I promise. Maybe next year. I just need more time. You are very artistic with cakes, but can you draw or paint? Not really. I used to doodle a lot of cartoons. I'm no good at drawing anything real. I think that's where it comes in with the cakes as well. A lot of my cakes are cartoony. I don't really make stuff that looks real. And I think that comes through with my drawing as well. I used to do lots of, it was a bit like a comic cartoony style. Do you know, like something you'd see on SpongeBob or something? I can't do realistic drawing at all, and painting, not really. What's your favourite food? That is an easy one. Pizza, all the way, and yes, pineapple belongs on pizza. Do not tell me otherwise. It's good. What's the hardest cake design you've made? There's been a couple of hard ones, but I always remember this spiral one. Now, it looks easy enough. It looks like you just stack 3 cakes on top of each other and you cut out a spiral all the way around. No, it doesn't work like that. I find this incredibly difficult and I never want to make another one again. Super happy with how it turned out. Chuffed that I'd pulled it off. I just don't think I could do it again. Because I can't remember how to do it. Yeah, that one was super difficult. Would you want your kids to become bakers too? Good question. And I don't think so. But that's only because I know how hard it is. This cake business is insanely difficult, insanely time consuming, and you don't really have a life outside of the cake. So I would prefer them to do something that they're happy to do and actually have time for themselves. I don't think my son Kai would be interested in cake. He's more academic. He loves the video and reporting. He loves the news. He wanted to be a newsreader. Abby may get into cake. She's the artistic one. Her head is in the clouds with the fairies. Wants to be an author and write books. So because she's on the creative side, she may enjoy doing cakes. I just know how hard it is to make a living from them and actually try and balance the work life. It's not good. And that actually leads me on to this question. Also, have you ever just been done with cakes? Yeah. Like I said, it's the work-life balance that's actually the problem. It's very hard to get any time to yourself when you're out delivering cakes, designing cakes, making them, baking them, cleaning up after yourself, photographing them, posting them on social media, keeping up with your website, doing wedding fairs, advertising, doing consultations, doing tastings. It goes on and on and on. So it can be very, very rewarding, but also very, very hard. Another question is, do you like to eat cake? Believe it or not, yes I do. A lot of people say, oh God, you must be so tired of eating cake. Well, I don't really get to eat them because they're made for the customers, so I very rarely get to eat them. I may have the odd scrap. So yes, I do like eating cake. I have a massive sweet tooth. If you take me to Greggs, I'm most likely to buy a donut or a muffin than I am a pasty. What are your parameters for how you charge for your cake? And also, could you share your recipes with us? You're very popular and successful, so everyone must love your recipes. Keep the vlogs coming, those are my favourite videos. Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, for the first one, I probably do it a completely different way to everybody else and how I price my cakes. I have a folder set up on my computer with every cake I have ever made, telling me what size it was and how much I charged for it. So that when somebody else comes along and says, I want this wedding cake with 8 figures on it, I'll have a look in that folder, look for the size that they've asked for. Oh, that one's got 8 figures on it. Yep, that pretty much looks like it's going to take the same amount of time, and that is how much I'll charge. It's the most laziest but easiest way to price a cake. Just look at what you've previously made. Is it going to take the same amount of time? Is it using the same amount of cake? It's going to be pretty much the same price. Only then do you add on something very specific. If they have asked for like a topper that's quite expensive, you just add that on. I don't sit there and try to work out every little thing because I get several messages every day. I already don't have enough time as it is. So it's easier to figure out what they've asked for is very similar to this cake. It's going to take me the same amount of time, so it's going to be the same price. And that is how I price my cakes, believe it or not. I would actually recommend it though, because it works, it keeps you consistent, and it's also quicker than having to just break down every little item, because it can take a long time. Recipes, I get asked this a lot. I do post it all the time. I think people might miss it. It's nothing special. It is the Victoria sponge cake recipe in the UK that's pretty much printed on every flour packet, every butter packet, every sugar packet. It will tell you how to make a Victoria sponge, and the recipe is pretty much always the same. So it's 8 eggs, 400 grams of everything else. That's it. It's really easy. I just prefer Victoria sponge. I like my cakes to be a little bit softer. And yes, I even use that same recipe for carving things because I like to make it difficult for myself. No, I like the taste better. I will do a video on that as well, as you can see. I have a little notebook here and it's got lists and lists of all the different videos that you have asked for. The list is growing and I'm not ticking them off fast enough. So I am listening, I am taking it into account. I just need, to be honest, I need a good 6 weeks of no cake so I can just film them all. But yeah, I'll get around to doing a recipe video and show you how I bake it. It's literally put your sugar and butter in first until it's pale and fluffy. Then your eggs, then you stir in your flour, because if you overwork your flour, it overworks the gluten, and then you end up with a very dense, shallow, tough cake. So you want to stir your flour in, pop it in between 2 cake tins that are 3-inch high. That will do a 7-inch tin. Put them in the oven for roughly an hour, a little bit less, and you're done. Another question, can you show us more of the business side of things? I find that so interesting. Yes, again, it's on my list. I want to show you like how to brand, how to become a brand, what to consider for your logos and things like that. Again, the pricing, I have a whole pricing video planned. So I do want to make some more videos on the business side, but I do show sneak peeks in my vlog. I will make sure that whatever I'm doing businessy, I will include that in the vlog as well. I think I've been talking for a long time now. It doesn't tell me how long I've been filming, but it feels like a long time. So thank you so much for all your questions. Like I said, if I haven't answered any, I've either answered them in the first one or I'm going to save them for an extra Q&A number 3. If this is the first video you have come across, feel free to check out all my tutorials which go up every Tuesday, and I also do behind the scenes vlogs on Thursday which include cake deliveries, me making the cakes, and sometimes things going wrong. Thanks guys, see you next week.